You can hear me all right? Great, excellent. Well, welcome everyone. We are so glad you're here, that you're joining us live. And for those on the replay, welcome. I have a couple of welcoming notes just to get us started. It's our day one of the workshop. And so we want to make sure you're prepared for the week so you're getting the most out of our time together. We're going to go live every day from 12 p.m. to 12:30. So those that are here with us on Zoom, excellent. You've got the Zoom link. Our plan is to be wrapped up by 12:30 with the main portion of our content. And we plan to stay on for questions and answers. So please put your questions in the chat throughout our time together. And then we have a dedicated time and we stay after 12:30 for any questions that you might have. Our ask is that you please look at this as a true workshop. This is not your typical webinar. So this is not where you're just going to kind of sit and watch. We want you to be engaged. We want you to ask questions. We want you to take notes. This is what I would categorize as more like a lunch and learn. And so please grab your lunch and feel free to snack away. The more engaged you are with the daily content, the more you're going to get out of our workshop together. And as I reflect on why you might be here, you're likely concerned about the preparation for retirement. You might be working in the concept of replacing the paycheck with income from your retirement, and Social Security is overwhelming. You might be a business owner, and like many business owners, over 80% of your assets are locked up in your business, and you're thinking about how you might transition into retirement one day. You might be in retirement and you're concerned about inflation and the stock market ups and downs, and will you continue to live the life that you wanted to in retirement? Well, you're in the right place. And we're going to discuss concepts to help any of those mentioned. And you'll have an opportunity to put into practice this week all of the concepts that we're learning. And then we're going to have a special invitation towards the end of the week for any of our workshop attendees to take the next step towards working with our team if you're looking for more help. And each day builds on the next. And if you miss a session, you'll make sure that you catch the replay. We're going to send out recap emails every day. Our plan is to send those out by 4 p.m. You're going to have the replays available there. If you're on Facebook, we live stream through Facebook, and you can also get the replays there that are in our Facebook group. So we're going to have some fun. We've got a digital concierge. His name is Digi Michael. We'll talk about him later on. We have some giveaways every day. We have 2 gift card winners that we're going to announce at the end of our time together. We have a workbook. And if you haven't downloaded the workbook yet, Jen, if you could just add that in the chat for everyone, that'd be great. And then you can download it right while we're on our time together. So for those of you who are not familiar with Ledyard or Ledyard Financial Advisors, we've been helping clients prepare for retirement and living the life they want in retirement for over the past 30 years. We currently have over 650 client relationships in 37 states and 8 different countries. We manage approximately $1.7 billion of assets under management. We're headquartered in Hanover, New Hampshire, where I am today. I'm in our Maple Street building. I'm in the library meeting room where we meet with families to help them with their planning and their future. We have 3 financial advisor offices across New Hampshire and 8 financial centers across New Hampshire and Vermont. We have over 30 team members on our financial advisor team. We're a division of Ledyard National Bank, and you're going to meet many of our leaders this week, many with over 3 decades of experience in financial services who are helping clients with experiences just like yours and concerns just like yours, which is why you've come to this workshop. For those of you I haven't met yet, my name is Michael Hackown. I'm the Executive Vice President, Managing Director for Ledyard Financial Advisors. I'll be your host for the Navigate Retirement with Confidence workshop. On a personal note, I'm married 17 years this year. We've got 3 daughters. I've got 2 teenagers at home. I've got 1 in high school, 2 in middle school. Our oldest is a sophomore. And I've been in the financial services industry for the past 2 decades. And when I think about the future, when I think about my daughters and I think about retiring, it can be overwhelming. And I'm in the industry. And so I want you to relax and commit this time to you and working on your future. I usually wear a tie, so the tie's off this week. We're going to have a great time. We've got an incredibly talented team of experienced professionals that are going to help you in your retirement journey. So let's get rolling. You might know of someone who's retired and they might have shared an experience with you. Maybe they've got a sense of emptiness. They're a couple of years into retirement and they've had all the fun they've wanted. They've checked off many items off their bucket list, and they're saying, now what? We've worked with many clients who have been there. And for those in today's workshop, you're in for a special time today, because we know that your retirement years can be the most impactful and happiest years. And our special guest today, Marion Janes, our retirement coach, brings over 25 years of executive leadership experience with Ricoh globally. She was the head of learning and development. And when she was there, she helped spark a coaching culture in Ricoh. And over 9 years ago, Marion started Ignite Growth, a coaching company focused on serving others through helping people get out of their heads and into their hearts where it really matters. She's helped executives and seasoned professionals transition from significant careers changes into retirement as well successfully. Marion's passion is to help others find that spark. And once it's ignited, there's no stopping the momentum. Marion is going to cover the psychology of retirement, and so that you can live in retirement with more purpose and actually enjoy this next chapter. So would you give a warm welcome to Marion Janes? Marion, welcome, and over to you.
Oh, thank you so much, Michael. And it really is a true pleasure to partner with you and the people at Ledyard Financial Services in putting this workshop together. And we're going to be spending the next 20 minutes or so looking at the psychology of successful retirement with an eye towards finding purpose in your next chapter. And during our time together, I believe that you will discover why mindset is the key to opening the door of your future. And to do that, I'll also be sharing some slides.
Marion, we have a poll as well.
Oh, that's right. We're going to do the poll first.
Yes,
go ahead.
Okay. Yes. So we have a poll for everyone. It's right here in Zoom. And if you can just take a quick moment while Marion's getting started, we're looking at what state of retirement are you in? Are you in mid-career? Are you approaching? Or are you in retirement? And that, this is anonymous, but if you could just give us a quick answer, that'll help us gauge who's here on our Zoom call live with us. Excellent. Well, we'll stop that in just a moment, but if you can just drop in your answer, that'd be excellent. Thanks so much, everyone. All right, very good. And so I'm going to end that. And Marion, can you see that as well?
I can.
Okay,
Thank
excellent.
you.
Very
Good
good.
mix.
Yeah. Okay, back over to you. Thanks.
Thank you. So based on the poll, we could see that we're either in retirement, approaching retirement, or thinking about retirement. So our discussion today is really for anybody, because isn't it true that at some point we're all thinking about retirement, either because we know that it's coming eventually or because we're already there. So with that, we'll jump into my presentation. There we go.
Great, we see it.
Yep, you're finding purpose in your next chapter. So what we're going to do today is we're going to talk about finding that purpose, about igniting potential in your next chapter. If you'd like to be part of the chat, I invite you to go ahead and use the chat as much as you like, because let's face it, we're not alone. We're all here together because we have a vested interest in this together. So you're welcome to be part of the conversation. You own the chat as I work through some of the content. So what we're going to accomplish here together today is thinking about how do we shift to a retirement mindset and perhaps redefine what success is. You have all been successful by your own right. You've had businesses, you've worked in companies, you've had a successful life, you've done many, many things to indicate that you're successful. But now all of a sudden you're faced with a whole nother chapter of your life. So how do you continue to redefine what success is for you? And to do that, we're going to be looking at, what possibilities exist? What's possible for you in your next chapter? I just have to get all my widgets moved out of the way. So let's look first at some kind of Interesting statistics about retirement. This is from the Longevity Economy Outlook, and I got it from AARP. Now, as I'm reading some of these, think about this. The fastest growing age group is 85 plus. What's even more astounding is the second fastest is 100 plus. Is that amazing? If anybody had any idea that 100 plus was a fast growing age group, go ahead and put it in the chat. Or if you're really, as we go through here, if something takes you by surprise, just put it in the chat. What really resonates with you? So 10,000 people retire every day and will do so for the next 10 years, 10 to 15 years. Up to a whole third of your life may be spent in retirement. I used to think there wasn't a lot of time forward, but that makes me think that there is some hope, that there is some good time left. The average length of retirement is 18 years. 65 plus age group will outnumber children by the year 2030. 65 to 79 is the happiest adult age group. And that's from the Office for National Statistics. And that's actually what we're going to be talking to today. How can we ensure that this is the happiest, that we want to be part of that happiest adult age group, don't we? 61% enjoy life more than when they were younger. Their life is more exciting. And here's some quotes that really jumped out at me as people are saying, I feel energized. I find it joyous. And for me, joy is a byproduct of being kind to people. So how many of you find some of those statistics pretty amazing? Go ahead and put it in the chat. Furthermore, Americans age 50 and up contribute so much to the economy that they'd constitute the world's third largest economy if they were counted as their own country. If we were counted as our own country, let's put it in those terms. Almost 60 cents of every dollar spent was from 50 plus, transforming markets, sparking new ideas. That's us. That's the potential that awaits us as we move into retirement, as we turn the page towards the next chapter. So I just want to draw your attention to the workbook questions that you have there. And the workbook questions have to do with purpose. I pulled out the one that I think is your number 3, because this is really all about purpose in your retirement years and how you connect with that. And to do that, we do need to explore the biggest personal mindset challenges that you have, the emotions that come up when you think of transitioning into retirement. And when it comes down to it, there are behaviors that you have now that have served you all these years. They've gotten you through the survival mode of working. And now you may have to relook at those behaviors and figure out which one's really working for you and which one might be keeping you a little bit stuck as you go forward. So the world we live in, this kind of describes where we live in. Anybody ever heard of VUCA? If you did, you can put it in the chat. But VUCA stands for volatile, uncertain, complex, and ambiguous. And if this doesn't really describe the world we've been living in, probably for most of our lives, then I don't know what does. This is actually a military term. I won't go into detail about how it originated. But how many of you spend time looking for that new normal? Like chasing that elusive new normal, and you're working and you have a good desk, or you're at home and you've got this pile of papers on your desk and you're thinking, tomorrow is the day I think I'll get to the bottom sheet and I will have a clear desk and I can think, I can innovate, I can think about my future. And then there's another pile over there. So we're constantly in search of that new normal. Along comes a pandemic, along comes retirement and big changes in our lives. And when that happens, we have to stop and really think about, my gosh, the way through this is I have to really look at what is my vision for the future? And you can never be too young to look at that, can you? What kind of understanding, what do I need to understand about myself and the journey I've already been on that is going to help me understand better how I can craft a retirement years that are good for me and possibly good for others around me as well? And what kind of clarity do I need? Where have I been lacking clarity up to this point? What kind of clarity do I need going forward to be able to create the kind of life I want? And how agile am I willing to be? How agile do I need to be? I need to spin on a dime sometimes and make decisions. And that's what happens when people wait until they're 65 and decide, I've been waiting for this magic number. I've worked with people who had numbers on their desk and they're counting down on the calendar. And then the day comes and it's like a deer in the headlight. What the heck? I'm here. There's no more numbers. It's zero, big zero. And they're ready to move on. But but they haven't developed the agility and that mindset to be able to shift and pivot in that moment. That's a huge, huge challenge. So I would think that we're no strangers to VUCA. Anything you want to add about which one of those jumps out at you most? You find that your life is more volatile, uncertain, complex, or ambiguous, or perhaps you are all of that, which happens to a lot of us. So when we think of transition, we think of change. And change is constant in our lives. Sometimes it's small, sometimes it's large, sometimes it's kind of eats away at us quietly, and sometimes it's big and daunting. But if you look at this Kubler-Ross curve, been around for centuries and centuries, we could take a quick look here at what really happens when we look at change. And the first thing is we have an unconscious response in a moment to that change. The bigger the change, the stronger the feeling usually. But the fact is that we can't get around the feelings that are present during the change. Now on here, you see denial, fear, anger, resistance, things like that come up when your back is against the wall and you're not feeling good about change. But there's also moments here of joy and happiness and things that you feel good about. But remains true is that you really don't usually get through any kind of change without acknowledging feelings at play. If they don't show up immediately, maybe you know people where you've initiated a change at work and some people right away struck out, and I'm not doing that. I'm totally resistant to change. Because people don't mind change itself. I find what people do mind is being changed. How many of you agree with that? If you agree with that, put it in chat or raise your hand. So we need to deal with these emotions. We all need to deal with our own personal emotions as we approach retirement. When we reach the point of acceptance within change is not, I'm going to accept that the change is good or that I like the change or anything like that, really. It doesn't mean you accept everything about the change. It means that you personally are accepting that it is time for you to move on. It is time for you to get in touch with those emotions. Put them aside for a minute and decide that, yes, I can accept the fact that I am ready to move on. And when you do that consciously, that opens up that green zone for you, which is that conscious incompetence. You now consciously can go out and say, you know what, I'm going to look for other options. All the possibilities are at my doorstep now, and I can just lean into them, find one or two that works for me, and then integrate it into a new way of being, transform my life. And when I do that over and over again, and I align with it and it feels right and it becomes my sense of purpose, then it becomes unconscious again. And that's where that zone of happiness and contentment comes in. So that's a quick look at the change curve. The thing that's neat about this, it's all choice. So if you know people beyond retirement, like my 92-year-old mother, they feel that there aren't any choices left. There are no choices left to them. But here we have an opportunity to make a lot of choices. So today, I'm going to be exploring further the personal stages of retirement. When I thought about it, did some research, and based on some of the clients that I work with, it really came down to 4 different buckets of retirement stages. And 2 of them seem to fall in one kind of category and 2 in another. So the way I frame this out, we're going to explore the freedom and the fatigue on the one side of the bridge, when we newly retired or we're thinking of stepping into retirement. And then we're going to cross the bridge together here in this session and end up on the other side where we could talk about, how do we make connection and form connection in our lives? And how do we make a contribution? So if you lay over that change curve if you lay over these 4 stages with the change curve, you'll see that it kind of follows the change curve. And we make choices within the change curve as we go along because we're on a journey. And we may take a few steps in one direction, and sometimes we back up. And then we go forward again. So today, it's going to help connect these dots and give you some steps so that you can move through this on your own and at least start to think about it. So let's start with exploring the freedom phase. So the freedom phase, you're newly retired, or it's getting close maybe, and you feel like you're on vacation. And all the things you ever wanted to do are right there. Maybe you play golf, maybe you play tennis, maybe you swim, maybe you like the arts, maybe you just want to connect with friends or travel, and you're just like a kid in a box of chocolates in your hand and you can do anything you want. So you've got all these feelings of relief and joy. I'm not putting happiness in here though, but you do have relief and joy, but you also have almost this fear that's driving you forward. So the fear can either hinder you because it's eroding your ability to have fun, or it can drive you to think, I got to soak up all I can. I got to squeeze all the juice out because I'm on vacation now and I gave my whole life to my job. But choice and time become huge challenges for you, because when we have too much time and a whole lot of choices, how many of you are challenged by making decisions? I know I am. So I just want it all. And I want to squeeze as much as I can. And when you just do that, as you're re-energizing, it comes with a cost. You can only do that for so long. And then all of a sudden you're asking yourself, you know what? I've been playing enough tennis. I'm doing this. I'm doing that. Is this all there is to life? Was it all these years I waited for retirement and this is all it's about? Do I just stop here? So the freedom phase is a great phase. You want to go through every phase. You want to experience that for yourself. This graphic here says, how can you make every day your favorite day? Change your mindset. Because Pooh says, it's today, says Piglet. And Pooh says, it's my favorite day. Well, what if every single day from now through retirement and after could be your favorite day? What would that do for you? Put some really cool things in the chat if you haven't thought about that. But then we go on to fatigue. Either you're tired because you're tired of playing your sport or whatever it is you're doing. You ran out of friends to visit or countries to visit. I don't know. But now you're in the fatigue stage and you're thinking, you know, there's got to be more than this. And all of a sudden you're back to that change curve because you're feeling lost. You're feeling a little bit of grief there and you actually feel lost. And your challenges are all of a sudden there's no routine. All of a sudden there's no identity. You're not in control of anything. You're powerful over anybody. And I relate to a story when I was at Rico and I was downsized after 25 years. And I first became a consultant before I became a coach. And I'm sitting here in my house, in my home office, and I'm thinking, I know I'm going to create programs and I'm going to look for clients and I'm going to do everything that I used to do when I was running the little business called the Learning Center. But then I would come out of my room and just literally want to scream and say, where's my marketing person? Where's my IT person? My computer doesn't work again. It was just me. My whole routine was messed up. My whole identity, nobody called me boss. Nobody looked at me like I even ever had a title or was worth the time of day. And now here I am sitting alone, redefining who I am. But within that, there was a certain kind of power, but a lot of fear around how do I reimagine my life? How do I reconnect with something that might have been missing in all those other opportunities I had? And that thought alone is what sparked my imagination. That's what really excited me. And I have had to reinvent myself, I'd say 3 or 4 major times to land where I am now. And I can tell you now, as a coach and working with people, who are going through what I'm going through, there was a reason for all the loss. So embrace the loss. And really consider those phases in that change curve. But what you do here is you create a space. Don't just rush from one thing to another. This is your cue to say, hey, stop for a second, breathe, slow down, and think of, what do I have now? And what do I hope to have more of in my life? I love this quote, that there's a day you're going to find that turning the page is the best feeling in the world because there's so much more to the book than the page you were stuck on. Another quote I like is, no one likes to be stuck in a place that they don't want to be. That's another one that I call upon often. So again, start to think as we cross the bridge, like what sparked, I know deep down inside me what it was all along. I just never owned it. And I would venture to say that most of you out there have an idea of something that's kindling deep inside you, some kind of spark that's starting to take place. There's already there. So if we thought of retire and we reframed that to refire, what would that do for you? Share some of your thoughts, please, as we go on. Because now we're crossing the bridge into what's possible. And what's possible is found in the connection phase. And the connection phase is kind of trial and error. It's a lot of fun because you're trying something that maybe you didn't have time for before, trying something that maybe you just didn't think you wanted to do, or people didn't know you for being a certain way, because we still carry those kind of false identities around. But as you move forward, we don't care anymore. We could try anything we want and find deeper meaning in our lives. And because of that, the different feelings that we have here are for, let's be curious. There's this longing I have inside me, but to do that, I've got to be a little bit curious. But the challenge here is that it depends on your personality and behavioral style. Some people who are thinkers will overthink this. Some people, they call them the fiery reds, will just run right through this and not be very patient in letting possibilities emerge. So depending who you are, you have to know yourself, how you're going to move through this. But there's an opportunity, a huge opportunity to reinvent yourself here and to cultivate your passion. So now your question you're asking yourself, what do I have to contribute? You all have contributed so much your entire life. And if you did some kind of inventory, I imagine there's some pretty substantial things that you can still contribute to the world based on all you've cultivated along the way and the many lives you've already touched. It's another statistic here about that 97% of retirees with a strong sense of purpose were generally happy, more so than those without that sense. Does anybody find 97% a big number? Huge, statistically especially. And higher net worth and better health are associated with higher levels of happiness in retirement. And this is exactly what Ledyard has proposed to you. These next 4 sessions are all about looking at your net worth. And right now we're looking at your net retirement worth in terms of mindset. So I think we're acknowledging here there's other ways to measure wealth, isn't there? Other than just money. So the key here is that we're giving you the keys, the mindset to help you be able to manage that wealth that you've already accumulated and find that happiness you deserve as you move forward into retirement. So that brings us to the contribution phase. And I have to say, you think of a time that maybe you were able to contribute in a small way or a big way in the world at large, and you felt really good about it. So the whole thing about the mindset is people do things. People work jobs, but how many people do you ask, oh, I know you work, you have a great job. How do you feel about it? People work, but they don't feel good. People parent sometimes and they don't feel good. So my challenge is don't lose sight of the being. There's a lot of doing going on. There's a lot of tasks going on. There's a lot of forward momentum and progress, but people, we lose ourselves in that, don't we? So mindset is all about being. I want to be able to run into some of you in retirement and say, how's your retirement going? And not just hear you say, well, I did this, this, and this. And this is where I found I'm volunteering, or I'm working again, or I started a business or whatever. I'd rather have you say, I'm feeling really good. I feel so relieved. I feel so happy. I found joy that I never thought was possible. That is what I hope for you. The freedom to be able to acknowledge that. So in this contribution phase, you've found something that you're in flow with. You're soaring high with purpose and intent and potential. And you feel like there's some kind of passion. When I talk to you, I can actually hear it in your voice. Because at the end of the day, you look in the mirror and like Pablo Picasso says, the meaning of life is to find your gift, but the purpose is to give it away. But when you think about it, I mean, no doubt, like I mentioned, you've already been using your gifts. You've given a million gifts away, but I also think of a gift as potential. Your personal gift is a potential that you hold inside that has been left up untapped. Perhaps there's a legacy that is left unfulfilled. A lot of people say, my legacy, what you leave your children, what you leave the world in terms of monetary is a gift in one way, but a legacy is another type of a gift. What do you really want to be known for? What do you want people to say about you when you leave? How do you want your children and those around you to remember you? I was recently working with a coach on trying to reach more lives. I mean, I'm a retirement coach, but my goal is to ignite as many sparks in people as I can to create hope in the world. And if I can do that, then I will feel like I have lived a life and actually made something of it. So I'm working with this coach, and it's all about how can you reach more people? And one thing he said was that 10,000 people wake up every day crying private tears for a solution they're looking for that you might just have. It could be because you actually have a skill. It could be because you're kind, and that's what they need in the moment. And that was just last week, and I can't stop thinking about that. So I wanted to share it with you. But I think, as I mentioned, if you look in the mirror, you'll see something that maybe wasn't there before. You'll see that spark. And we all know it's in our gut. It's something you feel. It's not something that's on paper. It's not a word. It's something you feel. And that's how you'll know you're close to finding some kind of purpose or passion. So again, the workbook question here is, what purpose are you going to connect with? I would really create some space to think about these questions that are going to help you you're not going to get there. Purpose is big and elusive, but it's going to help you take steps closer to being able to start to cultivate your purpose. So when I really wanted to come up with a summary, when I think about what the mindset does for people, the mindset provides the motivation, right? So if you have the right mindset, you give yourself space to cultivate it, you will find the motivation needed to be able to find in the change curve, to be able to find those possibilities and make a contribution going forward, and then keep that momentum going. And as you do that, if you look at the monetization piece, you'll look at it in two ways. You'll look at it in the finance piece, but then you'll look at it, well, maybe I have money and I don't have to work. It doesn't always mean you have to bring more money in, but with that monetization, what does it give me? Does it give me freedom to be with other people? Does it give me freedom to volunteer? Does it give me freedom to start my own business, to raise my grandchildren, which it seems like a lot of my friends are doing right now? But with mindset, you can have everything you ever wanted and more, and all the happiness and joy that you deserve. And as you go forward over these next 4 days, keep this mindset, start to develop it. It's critical. It's the key that is going to unlock even more than you can imagine with the speakers that are coming up for the rest of the week. So wishing you all the best. And thank you again to Michael and Ledyard and the entire team for recognizing the importance of cultivating the mindset alongside the monetization.
Marian, thank you so much. That was great. And I'm seeing some clapping in the Zoom here. And so we're going to take some questions. And so I know we're right at 12:30, so please hang tight. We've got 2 gift cards we're going to be giving out in just a moment. But put some questions in the chat. And again, we're going to be hanging out. If you have to go, we understand, but we're going to hang out and answer some of the questions you've got. And so let me just pull this one slide open for us while the questions are coming in, Miriam. And
okay, great.
hopefully we can see that. So just as a reminder, please register for our notifications and alerts that are coming daily through the ledyardworkshop.com/DigiMichael. And that's a picture of DigiMichael there. When you register, you're going to get access to the workbook. We'll put that in the chat one more time. If you're not on Facebook, you can email us at financialadvisors@ledyardbank.com. And again, if you're not on Facebook and you want to qualify for the giveaways, you can just drop us a note there. Just say, please add me in for the giveaways daily. Please mark your calendars. The replays will be available in our Facebook group, and we're sending out the replay links every single day. Those will be available through the 21st. And again, those were just some reminders for us. And then we'll get into the Q&A. Before we do that, let me tell our 2 winners. First winner is Jay Caruso at 20 points. Congratulations, Jay. And our next winner is Laura Swain Pillsbury at 15 points. Again, all that's through the DigiMichael. We'll have other gift card winners. If you're not on Facebook, again, just send us an email to financialadvisors@ledyardbank.com and we will get you entered into the daily giveaways. So your choice is a $50 gift card to either, if you're in the Concord area, the Common Man. If you're in Hanover area, Upper Valley, we've got a gift card to either Lou's or Molly's, some local favorites here. So we're going to take some questions, Marian. And I just over the weekend in the Wall Street Journal, there's an article, "Plan on Living Past Your Life Expectancy." It was a big article this weekend. So just right in tune to everything you just covered. There was so many good points there. And I want to just make sure we get right to the questions. Let me start with one. Can you share some of the biggest issues you help people when transitioning into a new career or retirement? Like, so what are some of the big issues that you help individuals with the transition season?
Well, it's interesting because even the smallest issue seems big if it's you, right? Mm-hmm. So every issue I like to call them challenges, because challenges seem more achievable, that you could overcome them. And I have to say that most of us, as I mentioned, are capable of taking action in transition, but we always chase it too big. It's too big. And if we have to break it down, and if we just chase a piece at a time, there's a more likelihood that we can catch up to it. So where we fall short is that whole doing versus being piece. We set a plan in place, we have all our checklists, and we have everything we need, and we learn more about it, we gain all the knowledge we need, but then we don't stop to think about, we just keep chasing because we're not getting in touch with who we are and the feelings surrounding the change. So, as I mentioned, the last thing you want to do is wait 60 years to retire and not enjoy it.
Yeah, so good. And even in the chat, we've got some comments here around the notion of refiring in this next chapter. So right in tune to that. And excellent. So I've got one more for us here. What advice would you give someone in their late 50s thinking about retirement?
Yeah, good question. I would say that, based on what we're talking about here, is pay attention to your mental fitness. If you go to the gym and you're working on your physical fitness and you miss a week or two, you're going to atrophy and start all over. I mean, I've done that a lot of times, probably thousands. So the mental fitness, when we talk about mindset, this is something that you have to work at all the time. And just when you feel like you're resilient and you're strong and you have a strong mindset, you don't cultivate it for a while. You have to start developing it all over again. Yeah. So I would say work on your mental fitness and don't wait. Like, start to cultivate pieces now that you envision for yourself in the future. Find new relationships. Start to tap into some of your mutual interests. Don't wait, well, I can do all that when I'm retired. Do it now so that you kind of roll into it instead of trip into it.
The mental fitness, I like that. That was great. Thank you for that. And I've got one more here, and then we're going to pull from the chat. What if I'm retired, feeling that emptiness you mentioned? What advice or coaching would you give?
Some of you, I'm sure, are doing this already, but we don't always find time, so we stop doing it. And it's simple. It's simple. It's go out and help another by sharing your time and talents. I've been there so many times, and my mother said that. I've learned it along the way. I coach people who, when I bring that up, they say, it's so simple, and that's the way I was raised. Just go find somebody to help or to share your time and talents, because you'll find out that your emptiness can be filled pretty easily. And again, change your expectations. Don't look, if you're looking to fill your entire cup, just settle for the first couple drops and be okay with that, knowing that the rest will come. But there's charity work. Surround yourself with people like you. There's resilience circles. There's, coaching sessions that have people like yourself in them, just for 60 and over, 50 and over, 40 and over. You can find one for anybody. There's mentorship. Get yourself a mentor. Work at a church. If you like to hike, do trail maintenance. And you meet all the buddies out there who are also retired that just didn't want to sit home alone. They thought of doing that. They couldn't stand it anymore. Just plenty of ways to be able to connect with your purpose. You'll find it.
It's great. Thank you for that. And excellent. So let me just go to the chat, and I'm getting some great direct messages here. Thank you for those that are looking for more specific advice for your personal situation. And just looking at the comments, hadn't really thought about the psychological part of retirement. Really opens up the eyes. Thanks for the presentation. It's great, Marion. Excellent. And any other questions, please drop them in the chat. And let me just wrap up with a couple of comments here. Marianne, thank you so much. This has been so eye-opening. And, we've done these workshops, and really the element of the psychology of retirement has been so eye-opening, and we're just so grateful for you. And for those that are interested to, work with our team more, we're going to have a special invitation later on this week So we're going to get into that a bit later on in the week. And as part of those that take the next step to work with our team, Marion has graciously allocating a 90-minute retirement resiliency workshop, so you can find purpose in retirement and live and with more purpose and actually enjoy this next chapter. So we're going to talk about that later on in the week. I just want to let you know, if you're looking to work with Marion or our team a bit further, we're going to have more information on that later on in the week. And so with that, I'm just going to go. Jen, do we have any more questions in the chat? Okay.
I don't see any more.
Okay, excellent. Well, thank you, everyone. And again, we'll send out the recaps later on today. Marion, have a great afternoon, and thank you all, and we will talk soon. Have a good rest of the week.
Bye, everybody.